Sox in the basement.
Did you get full on Christmas, my friend? Did you eat everything? Because I ate everything. My mother.
Yes.
My mother every year. Everybody always asks me, "What do you do on Christmas?" And Christmas Day is like very calm in my house. It used to be when I was married, like we would just sit around, the whole group of us, me, my wife, the kids, eat appetizers, watch Christmas movies, and never get out of our pajamas. Right? For the last several years, it becomes a free-for-all. There was one year I was actually in a relationship with somebody. I went to her place for Christmas. And other years I make my way over to my parents' place so they get to see me a second day and hang out over at their spot with the kids. But Christmas Eve is the big deal. And what we get is the Italian Christmas Eve, right? Like it's just all Italian food. There's sausage and peppers. There's stuffed shells that my mother makes. There's all kinds of like Italian pastries, cannolis, you name it. All right. And you just eat like a fiend and drink a bunch of wine. And eventually I slip in with the bourbon as well, because now I'm really partying. And then I have to make my way home and, do what parents have to do for the younger kids and then go to bed. I got to get everybody to bed. I got to, make sure it's all magical. And then pass out and get a couple hours of sleep. And that's what we normally do in the Lanuti house. So as we record this, I am full. I have to make it to the gym today because otherwise everything I've done over the last month is ruined. And I just want to talk some White Sox baseball today because they did stuff over the last week that was impressive to me. How was your Christmas?
About the same as yours. I overate because we have 2 family parties on Christmas Eve. I was on like an hour and a half of sleep come Christmas morning when the kids woke me up for all the presents and everything.
It's
and
yeah,
I mean, pretty much.
My little guy walks in to my room and I'm face down, like on the bed. Like I'm just like one of those
you've literally
out.
Collapsed.
Right.
Yes.
I'm Joe Creedy at Sox Fest where they're looking for him. And he's got like the rug burn on his face because he never made it to the bed. That's me. Okay. I'm face down in the bed, just like passed out. And I hear, Dad, I know you said not until 7, but it's 6:58. It's close enough. And I'm like, yeah, it's close enough. You can go look. Oh, I already looked. And he just starts rattling off everything. He's been sitting in the dark looking at everything. And then you drag yourself out there and you have Christmas morning. Like the best movie is The Christmas Story because it really does show the old man and how tired he is that day. Like he's a disaster.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's
my older kids hug me now. My older kids hug me now, like with a thanks. Yeah. They're like, the 17 and 20-year-old, they're like, Dad, you're our hero. Because they see how tired you are. And you drag yourself up in the morning for Christmas presents.
Yeah, my 14-year-old looks at me at one point yesterday. He goes, Dad, well, you can go take a nap if you want. I said, but are you and your sister going to fight and everything like that? Right. He goes, well, yeah, probably. So maybe stay out here for a while.
They only notice when they're older, and that's kind of the cool thing. When they get older, they notice the effort that you've put in. The effort the White Sox have put in. Let's get into that.
Yeah, they put in some good effort.
Yeah, I mean, are you excited about it? Like to me, I feel like they're doing stuff this offseason. Like last offseason, I was so disappointed, and now it's like they're doing stuff. And I have an anecdotal thing I want to share. Here at Sox in the Basement, I can see all of our numbers. I can see all of our downloads. I can see all the listener minutes. I can see, the YouTube channel. They'll display it, but we're not really a video show, even though there's a video up on YouTube. But the vast majority of our listeners are listening through podcast apps. They're still listening to the audio. It's still at its heart like a radio show that's on demand. And that's what this is. And that way you can keep it on the background. In the car, you can listen to it, whatever. And so I can see download numbers across the entire network and all the different apps and everything like that. The day that Murakami was signed, we got so many downloads that it dwarfed any of our new show releases. So like on the release of a show, we'll get like this big spike that'll go up because that's release date of the show. And then you'll see it like a bell curve kind of work its way down over the next couple of days where it's a little bit less, a little bit less, a little bit less, because most people listen on release date or the day afterwards. And then you'll see it curve down and there'll be a new show and it'll spike back up. We got a spike like it was a new show and there was no new show out. And when I looked, it was people that had gone back to Sox in the Basement, made sure their subscription was current, made sure they were getting updates like through the Apple Podcast, and were listening to the last few shows, waiting for the Murakami show. because there's interest again from the fan base. It was so surprising to me to see that happen. But this massive spike in listenership, even though we didn't release a show that day, we didn't release until the next day. The day it was actually happening, people just jumped on, resubscribed, started listening again, got back into the team that may have left in recent months or the recent years. And it was so astonishing to just see that in real time happening with the Sox in the Basement feed.
Well, and why wouldn't it, right? When does this team make headlines ever? In the past few years, it's always been minor things that have come across, like, Colson Montgomery goes down to Arizona, Colson Montgomery's coming up, right? But it's not exciting news. The arrival of a prospect just doesn't do anything for this team anymore. And the fact that there is a notable free agent signing it should tell the White Sox all they need to know. This is not coming from Japan. This is not coming from overseas. This is coming from your existing fan base. We just want to see that you're doing stuff. We just want to see that there's thought in play as to how you're going to do this. And, for the platitudes that we've thrown Chris Getz for some of the guys he's picked up, some of the dart throws he's making with some of the minor league contracts, Dustin Harris, some of the trades he's made with the Rays to get, these outfield prospects that could be, fill-in replacement level guys until a Braden Montgomery shows up, or taking a shot at Oliver Dunn, who's a guy that seems like he has some talent and Brewers fans were lamenting the loss of. Those moves are not moving the needle for the fan base because there's just, how excited can you get about Oliver Dunn? How excited can you get about Dustin Harris? But you can get excited about Murakami. You can get excited about a guy whose ceiling is a Triple Crown winner in Japan, even if his floor is he's never going to touch a baseball with a bat in the major leagues, which seems to be the criticism, or with his glove for that matter, because, the way people wrote about him, it sounds like he can't catch and he's got too much swing and miss in his game. But imagine if he could hit 50 home runs here.
Right.
It's possible. It is possible to hit 50 home runs as a left-handed batter on the south side of Chicago. I mean, the park plays to it. I mean, I'm excited to have him and Colson Montgomery in the same lineup because it kind of harkens back to the potential anyway. Okay, not proven. Don't sit here and say that I'm making a prediction or anything. But the potential for both of them reminds me of when Frank Thomas and Albert Bell were in the same lineup.
Well, you know what else it reminds me of? Remember when the Twins built that new stadium? And they had Maurer and Morneau.
Right.
And they built that stadium where there's almost like a jet stream because it's in downtown. It's sunk in a little bit. It has a short porch. And basically going out into the field where they're going to hit, there was almost like a wind tunnel, and the buildings beyond the stadium make almost like a continuing tunnel. Like there's like a street right there if you're really paying attention to the way it's designed. And it was designed because that's what their team was built for at the time. And you said, wow, look at that. That's incredible. When you think of the fact you have Montgomery who can really hit home runs and Murakami who can hit home runs, and they're both lefties. And, Kyle Teal's also a lefty. Let's not forget. Andrew Benintendi's also a lefty. You got a lot of lefties. Like a lot
Edgar
of your
Carroll's a switch hitter.
Yeah, Edgar Carroll's a switch hitter. Like you're kind of building for this kind of thing, and that's where the ball sails out. I mean, Gavin Sheets was hitting them out there all the time, right? I mean, like this. It is interesting that that's what they're doing.
Andrew Benintendi's a 20 home run guy because he's a left-handed batter. That's where I don't have his splits in front of me, but just feels like most of his home runs came at home.
That's the thing. Like that's what I like the most is like they're starting. The people that are making the decisions in the front office seem to see the things that we always yelled they're not paying attention to with the other regime. Like there was always this stubbornness with the Kenny Williams thing and with Rick Hahn as an extension of it. There was always a stubbornness of I know what's best and I don't need to look at these things. Like I'm going to talk about it here in a moment, but we have this $1,000 guest bounty, and there's a possible guest that we could be having on here shortly, and they do nothing but analytics. And I know the White Sox are doing analytical things with them because we've had conversations over the last month about what we can and can't say. And I'm with the White Sox. I don't want to give away what the Sox are using them for. But the White Sox are doing something different that nobody else is doing right now. And they've brought this group in to do it. And I've been introduced to them over email, and we're going to be having them on as part of the $1,000 guest bounty. And they're not going to specifically tell you what the Sox are doing because it will give the Sox a competitive advantage. But I am so excited about it because I know some of the details. And we've actually had to have conversations about what we can and can't say. The Sox are very concerned about this. They've already reached out, and they're like, we don't want you to talk specifically about us. But there's something going on in that front office. And knowing what I know, I actually understand some of the moves that they're making. Because they're looking for like things that other teams are not finding. Those little inequities, those little competitive advantages. And they're trying to do it with analytics in there after years of knowing that they don't do it. And that could be the guest that ends up winning the $1,000 guest bounty, brought to you by Cork and Carry at the Park at 33rd and Princeton in the shadow of the ballpark. Our proud sponsors over there, the award-winning burgers, the ballpark favorites, the spirits, the wines, the incredible bar, the place to be pregame, postgame, and of course, enjoy their location on Western Avenue at 106th and Western. I believe it's still all decked out for the holidays. It'll be a blast there for New Year's. See it all at corkandcarry.com. But like get your guest bounty guest in. But this could be one. And I'm hoping to speak to them in the next week or so and bring them onto this show. It has been a negotiation to get them in here. But the Sox have a purpose. They have a plan. That's the only thing I can really say right now. There's something behind what they're doing, and I want to get into it more. Let's just get the commercials out of the way. Can we do I'm going to do the other one, and then I want to really dive into this, okay? So first off, Hyatt Home Medical Equipment. You've heard about them all year long here on Sox in the Basement. We're so proud to have them as a partner here on this show. They want you to make game days the most comfortable yet. Whether you are getting ready for baseball season or you are watching the Bears do amazing things. Amazing things. We haven't been on the air since that happened. I know this isn't a Bears show, but amazing things.
Oh my God.
Just incredible things. I mean, I could do a whole show about how excited I was after the Bears won that game over the Packers. But if you want to be comfortable while you're watching this happen, Super Bears, Super Bowl all the way. All right. For easy standing and sitting, you want a lift chair. Push a button, chair gently lifts you up. All day comfort. These things have cushions, adjustable reclining, and built-in support. They will help with your circulation, elevating your legs to reduce swelling, and you will be safer at home. Lift chairs prevent falls and strain whenever you are standing up. If you feel a lift chair will help you in your later years, or if you've suffered an injury, check out Hyatt Home Medical Equipment. See what they can do for you. They work with your insurance. They do everything they possibly can to make it as easy as possible. See more at hhme.com. What I'm excited about with the White Sox is that, one, there is some sort of a plan, it seems like, in terms of the people that they're picking up. On the other hand, I don't know if I'm that excited about Sean Newcomb. Like, I know everybody, like, here's what excites me about Sean Newcomb. What excites me about Sean Newcomb is that they're doing something, right? Like that they were striking at a player that they wanted. Great. That's awesome. But Sean Newcomb is that relief pitcher that I always describe when I say relief pitchers are a dime a dozen. He's a guy over 9 years has a 1.446 whip as a relief pitcher. That's bad. It's bad. Okay.
Well, and some of it is even as a terrible starting pitcher.
Even as a starter, that's bad. That's really bad. I mean, it's bad.
He was a terrible starter.
If you're a starter and you're over 1.30, you're at the bottom of a rotation, and you get in the 1.4s, I don't even want to see you. I just don't at your overall whip. I don't want to even see you. And relief pitchers need to be like 1.2 or lower for me to even like consider you to be an effective relief pitcher. And it really should be in the 1.1s or lower. I mean, like Sean Newcomb's got a bad whip. And when you look across his career, with the exception of the time that he has been in Oakland, it's always bad. Really, really bad. Like the A's in 2023 were able to get a 1.13 whip out of him in very limited action, 7 games. Last year, the A's get 36 relief appearances from him. They make him a relief pitcher, 1.032. Now, I always used to point this out that Liam Hendricks, former guest on this show, was a bad starter, shaky reliever, found something, had a couple of really good years. Teams that took advantage of his best years benefited. Those that didn't get the best years, disappointment. Is Sean Newcomb coming to the White Sox being used as a left-handed reliever, are we going to get the 1.032 whip that he had last year, or are we going to get the 1.75 from the year before? Actually, no. And I'm even reading this wrong. My apologies. Last year, 1.35 over the entire season. Only when he goes to the A's and is used as a relief pitcher does he have the 1.032. When he's with Boston, he starts 5 games for him with a 1.756. So you have to use him in the right way. And he's one of these relief pitchers that, with the exception of 1 or 2 seasons on his baseball card, which has 9 years on it, is not an effective pitcher. So it's like I'm not doing a cartwheel over him unless this is Bannister identifying this is what works for this guy. We're not going to let him do any of this other stuff. And we're going to get that 1.032 whip in 2026.
Well, and I think that's what's going on, because if you look at his spits, which might be more apropos considering his career numbers are not that great, but his splits, which is a much better word in this situation, he is a vastly different guy as a reliever than he is as a starter. And I feel like teams always want to try, and like Boston tried to get him into the rotation last year, and it didn't work. You know, they were desperate because they had, at the beginning of the year, that's when like Giolito went down, Brian Bello went down. They had a bunch of guys that just got hurt all at once, and Boston was in deep trouble pitching wise. So Sean Newcomb is a guy that has started in the past, so they put him in there, and he was dog food. I mean, and that's what he's been for his career. But the whip, let's just focus on the whip. He's a 1.502 career as a starter. He's a 1.357 as a reliever. Now, 1.357, to your point, not spectacular, but definitely notably better. His ERA in those situations, he's a 4.41 versus a 3.84. But more importantly, strikeouts per 9 are higher. Okay, strikeouts per walks is almost 2-to-1. It's higher than it is actually it's pretty even when you consider that as a starter. But he's just had better results. So if the White Sox are bringing him in and sitting here saying, okay, we've seen what you can do as a reliever. All right. We've seen what you can do when you're just focusing onto the bullpen, and that's all we're going to use you for. They don't need Sean Newcomb to start a single game.
He should never start. He should never start.
No, but they don't need him to. He is at least third in the pecking order of guys that we expect to be in the bullpen right now in terms of who's going to get starts. I'd put Mike Vassell first. I'd put Grant Taylor second because they clearly want to stretch him back into a starter. And then Sean Newcomb would be, oh my God, we're the Boston Red Sox of 2025, and we have no pitching left because everybody's on the IL with an elbow issue. I
mean, is that when he's always in the bullpen that he's good too? I mean, it doesn't take long to look at his baseball card and say in 2021 he's 28 years old when he should be almost in his prime. He's got a 4.73 earned run average and a 1.701 whip over 32 appearances as a relief pitcher for Atlanta.
Well, now you want to hear something interesting though?
What?
In save situations, granted, there's only 33 games under his belt here. His ERA is 2.73. His whip is 1.112.
See, this is a Soxner thing. Soxner would be like, oh, I'm just going to come up with this really good, like he's going to be on here in a few moments. And that would be, he probably has a Sean Newcomb thing. I haven't listened to what he did yet. I never listened to him until they're on the show. I don't actually listen to it because I listen to what he says last. And that's why it's at the end of the show. Like when I'm producing the show, it's the first time I ever hear it. So it's after we've talked. He might have something on him that's that ridiculous. Because he's going to have a good spin on him, I would think. Right? He's always very positive. So maybe that's it. I guess my thing is this. I'm excited they went out and they got him because it shows they're going out and getting the players they want. And they're not waiting until everything's over and picking up the scraps. I think they're going to be aggressive and they're going to add more players. I think they're starting to figure out they need to do that because it's going to make a difference for them as a business. I mean, look, going back to something you said earlier about the idea that there's going to be an uptick and that they need to recognize that, and this is the way you're supposed to do things. Scott Merkin, this is an actual excerpt from his article that came out on the 23rd talking about the impact of Murakami and what's going on so far this offseason. Here's the sentence. From Merck, Brooks Boyer, the White Sox executive vice president and chief revenue marketing officer, was caught off guard when asked about a boost for the team's season tickets, group seats, and premium seats currently on sale the day Murakami's deal was announced. He had to admit there's a little bit of momentum, but he was caught off guard. It's almost as if they don't get I wonder if in the building there are people who actually believe the idea that we're just a poor fan base who doesn't care. Because there's always an example of if you do something for us, we come to the ball game. Like
it's always been that way. I don't know how they don't know this.
My dad on Christmas was like, I'm going to have to buy more tickets for next year.
Right.
Because they're doing something, right? Like, he doesn't even know if it's good. They're just doing something. Like any effort will bring fans back to the ballpark. You don't need these campaigns if it's better at the ballpark and have your ridiculous play-by-play guy go out and sit in a parking lot and try to be the everyman. You don't need to do those kind of things to get people to come into the ballpark. Yeah. You just need to sign people. And Murakami's deal, it's really funny, like over the holiday, the A's gave a bunch of money to Tyler Soderstrom. So the White Sox still, the biggest deal the White Sox have ever given out, which is $17 million a year now for 2 years, it is still the lowest per year given out by a team than any other team in Major League Baseball. The White Sox biggest deal is the smallest biggest deal, if that makes any sense to you. We're still a poverty franchise.
Yes.
Like I'm still waiting for that one that gets us out to like what other teams do, right? But even a little thing, even the signing of Murakami, just that little thing, grabbing a left-handed relief pitcher who's spotty at best that you're trying to get the best out of, but you gave him $4.5 million, excitement on Christmas from White Sox fans. Excitement with ticket sales from White Sox fans. That's all they want. They just want something. And the next thing that's going to happen is going to be the deal of Luis Robert Jr., and there's all this chatter about what it could be. And I was really...
The chatter at this point, I think, is looping back on itself from all the chatter that's been for the past couple of years.
Yeah, but the Reds thing is interesting. The Reds thing is interesting to me. Okay? The Reds thing is interesting because Gordon Whitmire is almost like doubling down a little bit in some of the stuff that he's writing about and what's happening and the names that are being included. And I'm going to tell you right now, I take this right now. I take the names because he basically in one of his articles he mentions Chase Petty, Julian Aguilar, and Brandon Williamson. And I'm going to tell you something. That's some pitching there between Petty and Williamson. Chase Petty looked like he was coming to the majors last year to be a star, and he had a bad year in AAA, and he had a bad 3 starts. I want to say for the Reds. But when you look at him, I've done a lot of deep diving on Chase Petty because Chase Petty's been sitting in my minor leagues on my fantasy baseball team for a while now. And I have a hard time getting rid of Chase Petty because I still think there's something there. And that's the kind of player you're going to get for Luis Robert Jr. because Luis Robert Jr.'s got like one really great season and a bunch of half seasons and a bunch of really disappointing seasons. And so if you're going to deal him for pitching, and that's interesting, those are all pitchers too. You know, the other guy, Aguilar, or Aguilar, I know I'm saying his name wrong. I'm sorry.
Aguilar?
I pronounce his name terribly. He's 24 years old, and he's got like a 9.3 something K through 9 ratio, and he only walks like 2 guys per 9 innings, like down in the minor leagues. Like, yeah, if these are the
I don't have his stats in front of me.
If these are the names we're talking about, names we're talking about, and yeah, it's not going to be 3 guys from the MLB top 100 pipeline list. But if you're gonna grab guys like this for Luis Robert Jr., do the deal and give them $10 million to do it. Because I think you're going to find something in there. And the White Sox aiming for pitching again, that really tells me that they feel confident in the position players. They shouldn't get away from position players all the way, though, because guys get injured, and you have to have that next man up, and you got to make sure you're continuing to make your minor leagues good. Because you don't want to be like what the last regime did, where they basically were like, well, as long as every one of these prospects hits and they all improve and they all develop in the same way, we'll win the World Series. And that doesn't happen. So they can't just focus only on pitching, but that seems to be what they're looking for right now with Robert Jr.
Well, there's a couple of things that you focus on pitching with Robert Jr. for. One is that's the Reds' strength. So if you're going after Reds prospects, that's their strength. I mean, they're hitting prospects. They got Sal Stewart. There's some guys, there's some names, but no one that the Reds are really willing to part with because they need them, you know? And there's some guys on their major league roster that you look at like a Matt McClain and yeah, he had a lot of promise, but geez, he just does not look like he belongs in the majors necessarily. And you don't have room for him anyway. He's not better than Chase Meidroth or Colson Montgomery.
No.
So when you really look at what the Reds have to offer, and if they're the team that this is where the smoke is and this is where the fire is going to be, their pitching prospects are really good. Now, what happens if you have an overabundance of pitching prospects and not all of them are going to fit in your major league rotation? What could you do with pitching prospects?
You could trade them. You could trade them to the White Sox.
You could trade. You could
trade them to the White Sox.
The White Sox could trade their pitching prospects though too to try and go get a position player, a budding star position player or a guy in the minors that's ready to rock and roll here and come up and fill a need.
Well, I think that's the whole key. Like only certain teams want Luis Robert Jr., right? Only certain teams does he fit for. But if you move him and you go out and you get enough prospects, you pick the ones that you like and you move the other ones in packages to find the players that you like. And there's
28 teams that would look at Chase Petty and go, we'd give you something for him, something substantial.
It's a forward thinking that I don't remember having in that building until Getz got his new group in. Until he starts grabbing guys and bringing them in. And it's interesting how all these trade talks are all reigniting when you go out and you get that new guy who's now going to be the assistant general manager who comes from the Rays. Like everything's kind of coming together right now with this team. Like this offseason, I think is going to be really interesting. I think we've just scratched the surface of what they're going to do in terms of building this team. And I think there's a lot coming in January and February and even in the March with this team. This is going to be a very, very interesting offseason. And that's what I'm most excited about because it was boring the last year or two. That music means the Sox nerd Dave Marin is on the line with all of his trivia nuggets and tidbits and all that stuff he puts up on the scoreboard at the rate, but then he gives us much, much more each and every weekend here on Sox in the Basement, brought to you by the Village of Lamont. Want to experience the downtown with real history, great eats and drinks, and green spaces filled with adventure? Visit the Village of Lamont. Shop, dine, drink, explore, see everything they have going on this week and beyond at lamontdowntown.com. Nerd, what do you got for us?
Chris, here are a few nuggets on White Sox signee Munetaka Murakami. He told Sox fans to call him Mooney in a recent social media post, so that's what I'll do. Mooney will be the fourth Japanese player to appear in a game for the Sox, joining pitcher Shingo Takatsu, second baseman Tadahito Iguchi, and outfielder Kosuke Fukudome. Like Mooney, Shingo and Tadahito were signed by the Sox directly from Japan, while Fukudome joined the Sox after 4 major league seasons. Speaking of Shingo, the Sox reliever in 2004 and 2005 was Mooney's manager for the Yakult Swallows of the Japanese Central League from 2020 to 2025. Mooney is going to wear number 5 for the Sox after donning 55 for the Swallows. Slated for first base, Murakami is destined to become the first Sox player to wear 5 and man first since Matt Marullo played the final 2 innings at the position in a 10-0 loss at Seattle in the penultimate game of manager Jeff Torborg's tenure on October 5th, 1991. The last start at first base by a Sox player with number 5 on his back was by Marullo in a 1-0 win over Baltimore on August 4th, 1991 at New Comiskey Park. In that game, Frank Thomas spoiled Mike Mussina's big league debut with a 6th-inning homer before 41,059 fans on the south side. Charlie Huff fired a complete Game 5 hitter for his 193rd win. Some other Sox players to wear 5 and play first are Luis Salazar, Tony Muser, John Romano, Bill Moose Skowron, Joe Cunningham, Roy Sievers, and Jimmy Dykes. Should Mooney start at first base on opening day, he will be the first left-handed hitter to do that for the Sox since Greg Walker in 1989. Cunningham, from 1962 to 1964, is the only Sox player to wear 5 and start at first base on opening day. Despite his long career in Japan, Mooney will carry MLB rookie status into 2026. Murakami is on track to make his major league debut on opening day at first base. He could be the first player to do that for the Sox since Jose Abreu in 2014. If Mooney starts at DH on opening day, he will be the first Sox player and just the 6th overall to do so in a major league debut. Notables who have executed that rarity are Eddie Murray for the 1977 Orioles and Shohei Ohtani for the 2018 Angels. Keep this in mind. The only player to hit third for the Sox while making an MLB debut on opening day was Zeke the Banana Man Bonura in 1934, and only 4 Sox players have hit cleanup in an opener in a debut, with Abreu being the last in 2014. And finally, Murakami logged 15 at-bats against his new teammate lefty Anthony Kay in Japan the last 2 seasons. Mooney slashed .400, .526 and .467 in 7 games against K, who pitched for the Yokohama Bay Stars. Thanks to Sam Phelan of Roundtable Sports for this one. Before I get to my zinger, let me remind you I am posting 2025 player reviews, birthday updates, a daily Sox list, and almanac items on Twitter and on my WordPress blog, which you can link to at soxinthebasement.com. My zinger? Other Sox who have played in Japan include Darren Jackson, Julio Franco, Christmas Day baby Tom O'Malley, 1959 pennant winner Joe Stanka, and Diane Viciedo. That's it, fellas. Probably more than you wanted to know about Shingo, Tad, and the Banana Man. And Happy New Year, one and all.
Sox in the basement. Sox in the basement. Sox in the basement.
Sox in the Basement. Heard everywhere podcasts can be found. And always on soxinthebasement.com.